Jesse Pullin, San Francisco bar pilot. If you ever hear us on the radio with traffic or on Channel 13, we all go by unit numbers, so I'm Unit 18 if you ever hear me out there. Yeah, my background, Tom covered most of it, but I grew up in Sebastopol from the Bay Area here. Spent my summers in Alaska, where my father was a sea pilot as well. I went to the California Maritime Academy, and when I graduated, I went to sea as a third mate, second mate, and then I eventually came back to the Bay Area and started working for Bay and Delta tugboats, and that's where I became a tugboat captain. And then in 2017, I started with the bar pilots, and that's where I've been since. So let me set this down here. All right. That's just a picture of my kids and I. We live up in Petaluma right now, so we do kayak on the Petaluma River. This next one here. Okay, that's all right. No problem. Anyways, so to explain what a bar pilot is, you see all these container ships, cruise ships, oil tankers, all these ships that come into the bay. They go all around the bay. They go all the way up to Sacramento, Stockton, Antioch, Pittsburgh, Benicia, Martinez, Richmond, then even down as far as Redwood City, and then of course Oakland and Anchorage 9. And as bar pilots, we board 11 miles outside the Golden Gate Bridge, where we have a station boat out there. And our pilot boat comes alongside the ship, we board, and we go up there and take over for the captain, who's, ship's coming from Asia or wherever the ship's coming from. And we pilot his ship to wherever the berth that they need to go. And the same goes for when they go back to sea, a pilot will board and take their ship out to sea. And all pilots were either a ship captain or a tugboat captain before. And there's a state test. The state gives a test whenever we need more pilots. There's 60 of us, so there's 30 on each watch. And we work week on, week off. And anyways, you become a pilot if you pass the test, and then you go into a training program. When you get through the training program, if you complete it, then you get licensed as a pilot. So every pilot is federally licensed by the Coast Guard and also state licensed by the state of California to pilot here. Every major port has pilots. So every ship coming in, LA, Long Beach, Puget Sound, wherever it may be, a pilot will take the ship in because they have local knowledge and the experience. Well, if we could just go, you could just click on that one for the picture of the pilot boat. Yeah, we could just go to slide 4. So there's a variety of pictures here when we get it up. There'll be a picture of one of our pilot boats, one of our smaller pilot boats for boarding in the bay. And so the way it works, when you're out at sea, the ship, pilot boarding has been the same for, last couple hundred years. It's a rope ladder over the side of the ship. We climb up that ladder, and that's how we board and deboard out at sea. Well, while they're working on that, I could just discuss some basics as far as kayaking safety. So it sounds like a lot of you are familiar with the bay and understand where ships go. So basically any shipping channel, from Pinole Shoal Channel, the deep water traffic lane in the Central Bay, or down in Redwood City, the channel there, or into Oakland, or into Richmond Inner Harbor, any of the channels, red buoys, green buoys, where the ship is in between, that's definitely where a kayaker or any small craft should not be. And if you find yourself in one of those areas and you see a ship coming, you definitely need to get out of the channel. because those are where ships can only safely navigate. We pilot ships that have a draft, there could be 45 feet of that ship that's under the water. So they have very specific places where they can and can't be. And when they get closer to the berth, we also have tugboats to help us turn and push us alongside. So if you see any operation where a ship is alongside the berth and ready to leave, or if there's tugboats alongside the ship, those are definitely no-go areas for any small craft. Because the tugboats, they have 6,800 horsepower engines, and they're pushing alongside that ship. And there's a lot of wash, a lot of water moving. And if you're on a kayak, even if you get 300 feet behind that tugboat, that wash goes all the way to the end of the channel. So if you go across that wash will just push you sideways at several knots, and if there's a dock or pilings or anything like that, it'll just push you right under. So if you ever see any tugboats pushing on any ship or barge or anything in the harbor, I would stay well clear until it looks like their mooring operation or undocking is over. And if you do monitor a radio, pilots, we're only in the bay for any commercial traffic, they're only on channel 13 or channel 14. So channel 14, that's for vessel traffic. Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. So that's actually boarding a ship that's already at the berth. I was just boarding Seaside, a container ship in Oakland. I'll let you do the next one there, Tom. So that's in the bridge of a ship. So that's, I think that might have been coming inbound. So that I was piloting that ship going into Oakland Inner Harbor. And that was probably right before, since I have my float coat on, that means I'm about to go out on the bridge wing, which means we're getting closer to the berth. If you go to the next one there, Tom. Here's just the view on a container ship going outbound. So that's on the deep water traffic lane. So if you see this for a pilot's visibility, so there's about, a quarter mile or more in front of that ship that they can't see. And you can imagine if that ship is, 1,200 feet long, that's a lot of distance. So a kayaker, you'd have to have binoculars to see where they were, unless there was a group and it was reported by traffic that there's a kayaking event going, from Point Blunt to Alcatraz or whatever it may be. Then we normally have an idea of where they're going to be, and traffic will always tell whoever's on the kayak, if it's a planned event, whoever's in charge of the kayaks, that you don't want to be crossing this area around this time because unit so and so is going to be on this ship. And these ships, they can't just stop, and they look like they're going slow, but sometimes they're going 15 knots, which is pretty fast for a 1,000-foot piece of metal. They can't stop. It takes a long time to take that momentum off, and coming into port, we have a long time to slow down. We use tugboats to help us, and so it's a slow, gradual process. So if there's something in the way of a ship, the best that a pilot can do is maneuver, maybe 10, 15 degrees to port or starboard to get out of the way, if possible, if the channel is big enough. But a lot of times, there's only so much room in the channel for a ship. So if you find yourself in a situation and you see a ship barreling down on you and sounding the horn, for one, you're already in a bad spot. You shouldn't never have been there. But if it happens and you find yourself in that situation, if you do need to contact the pilot, you call them on channel 13. Because they do monitor channel 13. But that's really the only time you want to be bothering or calling a pilot, because they're dealing with a bunch of other stuff up there. They don't want someone calling on a kayak that's a mile away, just asking questions, but in an emergency, if you need to, you can call them on channel 13 and say, oh, sorry, I think I'm that guy that you keep sounding the horn at, and the pilot will tell you immediately which way he wants you to go, and as fast as you can. They might say, paddle due north towards Point Blunt, and I will, go to the south as much as I can to avoid you. But they'll tell you that right away, because no one wants to hit anything. Okay, we could go to the next one there, Tom. So that's when the ship's coming alongside the dock, and I'm talking to my tugboats, because we'll have a couple tugboats to help the ship alongside. We go to the next. So this was kind of what I was talking about in the beginning. Pilots have been around forever. You know, any port, pilots are always helping ship masters get to the berth. There's 60 of us. We have 30 on each watch. We're regulated by the California State Board of Pilot Commissioners. There's no taxpayer for salaries and everything. That's all by what we charge the shipping lines when they come in. It's all surcharge. So you can go to the next one. That's kind of. So this is a good chart, map, whatever you'd like to call it. Mariners, we call them charts, but everywhere else it's a map. So this is where pilots get on and off the ship. So we get out quite a ways out, and that's because we have a bar channel here that we have to navigate through first. There's only two such places that have this: us and the Columbia River bar pilots. Most pilot groups board, once the ship's in more protected waters, but because of our geography, that makes us, have to board out at sea. So you can see all the ports we go to, and we'll have some other slides later where we have ship track lines where you can see where ships are always going. And I'm sure, most of your routes are not, when I was looking at your routes there, it looks like a lot of places you go at least aren't where ships go, unless you have to, cross. And if there's a big group, I would recommend having, one main person with a radio that is guiding the group to check in with vessel traffic on channel 14, just to let them know, what your estimated departure time from point A, estimated arrival time at point B, and then traffic will pass that on to the pilots whenever a pilot checks in on a ship of any potential traffic. Go to the next one there, Tom. So just to show you the size of ships, so that's the biggest ship that comes in here. So that's the Benjamin Franklin. So she's 1,300 feet long. That's bigger than the Salesforce Tower. So you can imagine, being on that horizontally. There's no room for air. We can go to the next one. Yeah, so that's just a recap of what we do. We take ships all over the bay. Our main goal, is obviously trade. You can see there's $40 billion in annual trade for the Bay Area. But also our other main goal is that, we're supposed to protect the environment. We're supposed to safely pilot ships to and from their berths. And that's what pilots are for, because, a lot of ships that come in here have never been here before, so they need the local knowledge of a pilot. Go to the next one. So there's several ways to become a pilot. For myself, I went to the Maritime Academy in Vallejo, but there's several on the East Coast, and most of them are state maritime academies, except for the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. It's federally owned. So most pilots went to a maritime academy at some point, and then went to sea and got their experience, either on the ship side or tugboat side or both, before becoming a pilot. Go to the next one. So there's other jobs in the maritime industry as well, besides being a pilot. When you get out of school, you could be an engineer. You could be on the business side, where you could work with business logistics. For the maritime industry is pretty spread out as far as where you can go. But for the pilot side, you normally go to sea, either on tugboats or ships, and then you work your way to the pilot. And pilot is normally at probably the second half of your career by the time you're a pilot. Go to the next one. That's just another picture of an oil tanker going outbound to sea. So that's I was on an upbound tanker. There was a downbound bulker. Can anyone tell me where this is? Yeah, that's getting close to correct, Carquinez Straits. So that's upbound. So up there where that ship just went around is a buoy 25, and the old dock, O's old dock. My ship's probably going by the warehouse. You guys know where the warehouse is, right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. If we go to the next one. It's just a couple container ships passing out in the main ship bar channel. That's where all the ships enter our port. So here I'm on a bulker upbound. That's right here. So I'm going east of the Brothers. So yeah. So this does happen when there's conflicting traffic. In this situation, I believe there was a couple downbound tankers. So in that case, we normally take the westbound of the Richmond-Sarenfeld Bridge, but in this case, with the downbound traffic, there was going to be a conflict because we were going to be at the bridge around the same time. So in this case, since they were on bigger ships, the other pilots, this bulker, maybe only a 600-foot ship, 100-foot beam, so considerably smaller than a big oil tanker. So in these situations, we do go east of the Brothers, either upbound or downbound. And we normally will tell traffic that too, if that's what we're doing, because we'll go the east span of the Richmond-Sarenfeld Bridge, go off the Richmond-Long Wharf, and come up. And so it is a normal route, but a normal route that's less traveled, but it does happen. So, next one. Yep, that's a ship, a bulker going up to Pittsburgh, and got into some fog up there by the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge. So in these situations, because that's a lift bridge, very narrow passage, when the visibility gets like this, we'll go to anchor and wait until we have a half mile. So we do have rules. We cannot sail a ship if visibility is not a half mile where we're at. But it happens quite a bit that you do sail a ship with over a half mile, and at some point during your transit, it becomes less than a half mile. So in that situation, you continue going until, if you have a safe place to anchor, you can anchor. So normally we have anchorage 9. We have several anchorages throughout the bay. If you're going upriver, we anchor anchorage 23 there right off Benicia, and just temporarily till visibility improves. And if the visibility does not improve, because there's tide windows, ships can only go at certain times when they have enough water, then you just turn around and go back to the main anchorage. So yeah, that's one of our hazards in San Francisco Bay is we do encounter fog a lot and reduced visibility. So and as a kayaker, we have radars on all the ships. So every ship has radar. But radar is only so good. It's more for picking up other ships or larger objects. A kayaker, that would not show up well on a radar at all. If there's fog out, don't go kayaking out in the fog. Or if you do, stay real close to shore where a ship can't go. Go to the next one. So that's out at sea. That's a pilot boat, or a big one of our station boats at sea, approaching a inbound tanker that's coming in. So that is the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge. So that's a bulker going upriver. So another big pointer here for bridges. Ships only have so much room to go through bridges, especially narrow ones like this. But even bigger bridges like the Bay Bridge, we have our main spans that we take, which is Delta Echo span by Treasure Island there, and then Alpha Bravo towards the city front. Those are the two bigger spans. So those are where ships are normally transiting. Delta Echo, the busiest one, just because that's where container ships are coming in and out of port. So if you are kayaking in the Central Bay or by any bridge, and there are ships inbound or outbound, I would stay away from those those areas where the ships are going to transit. Because if you're in that area, a ship can only do so much when they're going through the bridge. And so stay clear of those areas. So this is our pilot list. This is an example of one, or this is from yesterday or last night. And I will explain briefly how to read it. Anyone could see this on the internet, our industry list. So I'll just. So for,
the next one has it more of a zoomed in.
Okay. Yeah.
That's today.
Okay. So this is one from today. So let's say this one would be a good one for kayakers to look at. So this vessel, the ATB Commitment. So, you know, it's almost 700 feet long and it has a 26-foot draft. So everything is also 24-hour time. You guys know, 1400 to 2 p.m. So that's when the ship is leaving. And this is the berth, Richmond 24. So that's Richmond Inner Harbor. RCH is for Richmond. MRZ, anyone tell me what that's? Martinez, correct. So that ship is leaving from Richmond 24. She's starboard side 2. This just says that she has 2 tugboats. And she's going to Martinez 6 with 2 tugboats. The E just means they could go port or starboard side, either side. And Martinez 6, that's the berth just upriver of the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge. So she will transit that bridge that we saw before. So anyways, so 1400, that's when she's leaving Richmond. So if you are kayaking in this area, that means you will see that vessel in Richmond Inner Harbor, you know, by the time she gets out of there and around Ferry Point, maybe an hour, maybe 1500 by the time she gets, because she'll have to turn around and then, you know, has to go slow in there. So it may take her an hour to clear Richmond Inner Harbor. And then if you're kayaking upriver, say you're kayaking out of Benicia or Martinez, and you see this, 1400, that means she's going to be up there, you know, around 1700, somewhere in that range. You know, it all depends on how fast the ships can go, if she's going up with the flood current or ebb current. So, but on average, if she's leaving Richmond Inner Harbor at 1400, in a few hours, she'll be up in the Martinez-Benicia area. So those are things that you could look for. Another one here, say right here, this ship leaving Oakland at 1600. So she's leaving Oakland 58, starboard side 2. So that means she'll go straight out. She doesn't have to go down to the turning basin and turn. So if she's leaving at 1600, that means she'll be going through the Bay Bridge, Delta Echo span by 1630. And most outbound ships, container ships, they will use the deepwater lane, which means north of Alcatraz. So when she comes out, she's going to be going all the way up towards Point Blunt, turning, and leaving Harding Rock on her port side for the deepwater channel. And so she'll be there about an hour after sailing. So around 1700, she'll be entering that area. And that will be a more common job. Is we have a lot more ships leaving and coming into Oakland. Ships that are inbound to Oakland, they go south of Alcatraz. Normally they go south of Alcatraz. Unless they have a draft of 45 feet or greater, then they'll use deep water. But 95% of them will go inbound south of Alcatraz in the eastbound lane. And if you see SCK, that's Stockton. So this ship is shifting from Stockton to Martinez. So that means, I don't know how many of you kayak up in the Delta, but you'll see a lot of ships up in the Delta going, well, either the San Joaquin River or the Sacramento River. And a lot of those areas are one-way traffic for ships. And especially on the rivers, the ship has to stay in the middle of the channel or they'll run aground. Yeah, there's not much a ship can do. They could try to slow down, try to, you know, maneuver a little bit, but for the most part, they're stuck in the middle. That's where they're going to be. You want me to keep going on this, or you guys have any specific questions for this? Yeah.
We're going to be leaving here and going over to San Diego
Okay.
after the meeting. So we're going to across the ATV commitment?
You may. I mean, they may be, you know, by the time you've finished lunch and everyone gets in the water, yeah, you may see them. And this one also, depending on the pilot, because, you know, daytime, even if there's no conflicting traffic, they may go east of the Brothers, just because that's a more direct route. They'll come out of Richmond Inner Harbor, go up by the Richmond Long Wharf East Span, and you know, her draft, that's not a big ship, so she will probably, depending on the pilot and on the captain, because, you know, we'll always ask the captain as well, are you comfortable going this route? This is the preferred route for today. This daytime, good visibility, you know, whatever it may be. So they may even go east of the Brothers on their way up. But yeah, you may see them. Yes?
Captain, what's the ATV designation?
It's an articulated tug barge unit. So that is a really big tug that's pretty much permanently connected to the barge. Yeah, but they're operated like a ship though. So it's pretty much the same as a small product tanker or a small oil tanker. It's just ways that these companies get around, you know, to have less crew, and it's cheaper to, you know, register, you know, all the other things that, you know, big companies do. Yes.
Can you just review the port starboard designation and the impact on how long it takes the ship to get
Sure.
out to sea?
So for Oakland, so if a ship is sailing from Oakland and it has an S for starboard side 2, that means she'll be going straight out. She doesn't have to turn. So that will be a quick route out to sea. If it says P and they're at this berth port side 2, you could pretty much add 45 minutes to that job, because they'll have to go all the way down to the turning basin, turn, and then proceed out. So
does that indicate whether they're docked with their port side against the dock or their starboard side against
yes,
the dock?
that's exactly what it says.
But are there docks in the Oakland area where it's the opposite, where port side is a direct exit?
No, not for Oakland Inner Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that's starboard side 2 means they're going to be going straight out, because there's only the berth is only on the north side when you're going in.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. So right here, this is Oakland Inner Harbor. So that was Oakland 58.
Okay.
And then for Outer Harbor, there's the turning basin. It's kind of just a big open area. It's not so for Outer Harbor, it's kind of this little, or most ships will have to turn, but it's not as it doesn't take as much time, just because of the way Outer Harbor is set up.
Where on the internet can we find that schedule?
Oh,
We have that.
yeah.
We have that. You are
I got it written down here somewhere. You got it written down? Yeah, okay.
It was on Buzz. Yeah. It was on Buzz day before yesterday. We can post it.
Yep. All right. Okay, we can go to the next one. More examples of different berths. For San Francisco berths, you know, San Francisco's not a port city like it used to be. It's more touristy now, so we don't really get much ship traffic in there, except for cruise ships every once in a while, or during Fleet Week we have government ships. Richmond Inner Harbor does get a lot of traffic. You guys, I'm sure you see that a lot. So, no, we're okay. So say in places like Richmond Inner Harbor, these are places where you really need to be careful if you see a ship or a tugboat, or tugboats pushing on a ship, because they'll have a lot of wash, and it's the water can only go so far. So if you find yourself in here and you see a ship pushing alongside and you want to get by, I would wait until the tugboats leave, because you'll get stuck in a bad spot. And you'll see pleasure boats, sailboats try to do it, and you'll see them just go and then all of a sudden shoot sideways and everyone's panicking. So if you are on a motorized boat and you do want to cross, or you need to cross, you just need to be ready for it, and you're going to need to gun it to get through the wash, so you don't get pushed up on the rocks. Go ahead. Yes.
When you need to bring in a military vessel,
Mhm.
is there any special clearance required on your part or anything or you're authorized to pilot any vessel into the bay?
Yeah, any vessel. I mean, we are all licensed. We all have a transportation worker identification card. We're all federally licensed through the Coast Guard as well, and state licensed. So they know you're not going to get a pretender out there that just shows up in a big 100-foot pilot boat. That's going to be, oh yeah, I'm going to board this ship. Yeah. I don't think anyone would want to. Yes.
So the scariest part of your job looks like when you get off of your transportation and you have to board the ship. You have to grab that rope ladder with a big tack on.
Yes.
Do you ever take a swim or?
Yeah, I have not. Yeah, you don't want to. But that's why we wear float coats. Wintertime, a lot of us wear helmets as well, because your float coat would keep you afloat, but if you fall 30 feet and hit your head on the steel deck or something like that, it doesn't matter if you're floating, you're still gonna, yeah. So yes, that is the riskiest part of our job, is boarding and deboarding, especially with the swells and seas out at sea. Can be quite different than from inside the bay, and with winter coming, yeah. When we take ships out to sea, we also, we've all been to sea. All the pilots, we've all been to sea, and we all understand what we need to do to get on and off the ships. And if it is heavy seas out there, most of the time when we take the ship out, we make a lee, and we have a moment where it's called sweeping a lee with the ship, and then that's when we have the pilot boat come alongside while we're kind of sweeping a lee, and then we pick our moment to climb down the rope ladder. And then normally, if the pilot boat's going up and down 10, 15 feet, and you do have to time it. So you go partway down the ladder, and then we have a man rope. So it's an additional rope that they set from the deck of the ship, and that rope for the last, depending on how rough it is, you kind of rappel off and just slide down that rope so that you could time it when the pilot boat's coming up, and when you're going down to land on the deck of the pilot boat, and then you grab on the railing and go inside. Same thing for boarding. The pilot boat's going up and down, and so you time it on the up, and then that's when you jump over and grab on the rope ladder and climb up. Yes. So you're asking for the hazards going around Ferry Point in Richmond Inner Harbor? Okay. Yeah, so coming in, a lot of it depends on the type of ship we're piloting. For example, say a cruise ship, very maneuverable. They have bow thrusters, stern thrusters. They could turn in their own length, very maneuverable. And then say we're piloting a bulker, a single screw, 720-foot long bulk ship coming in loaded, maybe 35 feet of draft. So for them coming in, their engine is, compared to how big the ship is small. So they're always underpowered, but you have tugboats helping you. So coming into Richmond Inner Harbor, you're in the current, and then as soon as you get around Ferry Point, you're out of the current. So that's the first hazard of that part of the job, is coming in from the channel into around Ferry Point, because the ship will be broadside to the current. Say the current's flooding and you're inbound. So that means when you're first coming in, you might be pointed at the red side of the channel at the breakwater, because you're accounting for, say a knot and a half of sideways current. And then as soon as you get closer, you go hard to port, and you're using your tugs to help you straighten out the ship as soon as you get out of the current. Otherwise, then you shoot into the breakwater. So that'd be the first hazard of that job. And then when you get up to Potrero there and turn, you have to, that's a 90-degree turn. And a lot of the times the ships have to turn because there's not enough room to turn once you get around, is you go to that corner and you turn the ship there with tugboats, and then you have to back all the way down for that, mile all the way to the berth, but you're using the tugboats the whole time to help you. And then you back all the way down the harbor to your berth. Yes?
What's the minimum size requirement supposed to require a bar pilot? I'm thinking of some of these older yachts that could be a few hundred feet long.
Yeah, so anything over 1,600 gross tons will require a pilot. So yes, the yachts that are that big, they do ask for a pilot. And sometimes ones that don't require a pilot, if a tug and barge hasn't been in here before, or a yacht that may only be a couple hundred feet, not much bigger than our pilot boat. But if they've never been in here and they don't know exactly where they are going or where they need an anchor, they will call and ask for a pilot. So anyone who orders a pilot will get a pilot. We have it's a 24-hour-a-day job every day of the year. There's always pilots working, and that's there's the earlier slide there was state license, there could be up to 60 of us, which means 30 on each watch, because we work a week on, week off, and then we work up to 12 hours at a time. So if it's busy, we'll work 12 hours on and then 12 hours off. And but yeah, there's always pilots available. So if anyone, it's mostly just commercial ships, but every once in a while we do, have yachts that ask for a pilot, or something smaller that wants to order a pilot. Or let me get back there, one of you guys.
Are large barges included in your log?
Say again?
Are large barges included in your log sheet, your daily log sheet? Really large barges?
Barges, we only pilot if it's a ATB, articulated tug barge unit. But if you see a tug towing a barge, most of them do not require a pilot, nor do they want a pilot. And they're local guys anyways. They've been working in here for a while, and they'll be towing their own barge. So a lot of those we do not pilot.
Could we finish your presentation before we take more questions? Because you've got some important stuff.
Oh, sure. Okay, so here we go. These are normal routes. So all the red, those were previous ship tracks. So up here, that's where I was talking about the deep water traffic lane. Yep, right there. This one right here is westbound traffic lane, so that's the lighter draft ships that come out that way. Any ship that has a draft under 28 feet, they will go this westbound lane. And almost all inbound ships, unless they're going upriver, will go do this eastbound lane south of Alcatraz. And then you can see where ships going upriver, they normally always go west of Alpha Buoy. Between Quarry Point and Alpha Buoy is the main route for ships coming down or going upriver. Yep, that's Alpha Buoy right there. Go to the next one. So this is coming into either to Anchor or to Oakland. So this is what I'm talking about for Alpha Bravo span. So a lot of ships use that when they're going into Anchor. And then Delta Echo is where all the container ships are using, going in and out. But every once in a while, container ship will go Alpha Bravo if they're waiting for a ship to clear their berth. They'll go down here and stem the current and just wait. So ships will still go Alpha Bravo if it's a container ship. Either they're going to Anchor or they're waiting for the berth. But also, the two middle spans, Bravo Charlie and Charlie Delta, those are also navigable spans. And ships will use those as well, just not as often. So this is all the way Oakland Inner Harbor. So to the south here is Alameda. And to the north there is like the Schnitzer Steel Howard Terminal, where hopefully there will be a A's stadium at some point. But that's the turning basin. So that's where the ship will have to turn. It's 1,500 feet. So if we have a big ship and you're kayaking, and that big ship has to turn, you're not gonna want to try to go by them, because they're taking up the whole thing. And there's going to be a lot of tug wash, because they might have 4 tugboats, maybe 2 on the bow, 2 on the stern, all helping it turn the ship around. So here, this is us. So you can see right here, there are some track lines of ships going east of the Brothers. But then the main route to Penosial Channel, which I assume, besides, unless you guys are crossing, that's any ships going up river, coming down, are all going to be using Penosial Channel up there. And this is ships going Southampton Shoal Channel. They're going to either they're going up that way to go east of the Brothers, going upriver, or more likely they're going to the Richmond Long Wharf, or they're going to Richmond Inner Harbor. It's just a outbound. Is it outbound or inbound? I can't see. Okay. Go to the next one there. All right. So we could. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we could take some more questions.
Do you give direct orders right to the helmsman, or do you have to go through the captain or whatever?
Right to the helmsman. Yeah. So you board the ship. You do your master pilot exchange with the master of the ship, and then you essentially take over for him, take the con, and then you tell the helmsman what you want for rudder commands, engine orders. You tell the officer on watch, third officer, second officer, whatever officer's on watch, you give your engine commands to. Yes?
And what about the tugs? How do you?
So tugs, when we get closer to the berth, we'll call the tugboats on VHF radio, either on channel 13 or 18. We'll get a hold of our tugboats, and then we pick a working channel, and then we work with our tugs on that working channel. So if you're ever on kayaks and you're on VHF radio and you say, let's talk to each other on 20 Alpha or something like that, and you hear a ship talking to tugboats or a pilot giving orders, then that means you should definitely get off that channel, because you don't want to be trying to talk while the pilot's, or interfering with them either coming or leaving the dock. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I assume the Columbia entrance has bar pilots too, and Astoria will?
Yes, so they have bar pilots as well.
You have to go all the way down river?
No, so their group is a little different than ours. They have just the bar pilots. They just take the ship across the sandbar to Astoria, and then they do a pilot change, and then a river pilot takes it the rest of the way. So they board most of their ships via helicopter, because it's not a very busy port. Maybe one ship a day or so. So they board. It's easier for them to board by helicopter than having a boat go out there. Well, all the ships that go to Stockton and Sacramento go through the immediate bay first as well. And normally for those ships, we do a pilot change as well halfway up at New York Point. Is normally where we do a pilot change for a fresh pilot, because from sea all the way to, say, Sacramento, that could be 14, 15 hours. And that doesn't include the time that, say, a pilot sailed a ship from Oakland, at 4 in the morning, went out there, got out to sea at 7 in the morning, and then boarded a ship at 8 in the morning. Then their 12 hours will be up by the time they get up to New York Point, and then a fresh pilot will come on and do the last 7 hours or so.
How does it work to get on the pilot boat to go out to sea to get on the big boats? Is it a set place you leave from, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have a couple different places. So our main office is in San Francisco. So that we board there at Pier 9 a lot of the time. But also we have a lot of pilots that board in Oakland. We just use the container ship terminal. We just park there and get on the pilot boat. Will pick us up, or we'll have a taxi take us then to the city from there. If we're taking ship back to Oakland, that way we finish where our car's at. But best case scenario for us is we take a ship out to sea, and our pilot boat stay on station. It's a big pilot boat. They have they have a cook, full crew. They have bunk room and all that. So a lot of times we'll take a ship out to sea, and then we may have to spend a few hours on the pilot boat waiting for the next inbound ship. That's the most efficient for us to take a ship out and then take another ship back in instead of running the pilot boat, another pilot boat out there. Yes.
So I know you can't see a single kayaker with radar. Can you see a group of kayakers?
If it's good visibility, yeah, a group of kayakers to see visually would be a lot easier to see. On radar, yeah, maybe depending on how old the ship's radar is, how well it's tuned. And then also keep in mind, on a big ship, the radar might be, 160 feet up. And radar, it's not 3D, it's just a scan. So anything that is closer, I mean, it doesn't pick up as well until it gets a little bit farther away. And it also depends, the way radars work, they send a ping out, and it's got to be normally something that's metal or that gives a good return. But say, a fiberglass kayak or, that absorbs, so it doesn't return as well on a radar.
So does that mean we should wear our
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, you, yeah.
So if you're coming out of Richmond, heading out to sea, and there's a ship that's occupying the Southampton Shoal Channel, do you go north and around, and exactly what route do you use?
Yeah, so that can happen as well. We're very, depending on the size of the ship and if they can go under the east span of the Richmond-Snarfield Bridge, that is one of our options. And we'll coordinate with the other pilot as well, and then that will also go through vessel traffic because it's not the normal route. But we do a lot of that just to keep ships moving. So yeah, say if I'm coming out of Richmond Inner Harbor and someone's coming in Southampton Shoal Channel, yes, I will go, if I can, I will go take the east span, make a big 180-degree turn, and then come back down the west span. Or vice versa, say someone's already, because it's first come, first serve. Whoever's in the channel first, or whoever's going to get there first has the priority, for the most part. So say it's the other way around, there might be a ship coming out and it's going to be in the channel first. So you might already determine that they're going to be well ahead of you, so you'll go the west span, do a 180-degree turn, and then come inbound through the east span. So yes, that is.
I'd like to thank Captain Pullin.
No, thank you. Thank you.